What up, doe? What up, doe? This is a beautiful Monday. How's everybody?
Darkness is spreading.
I know, man. No, he's on the road right now. But anyway, we are here at a beautiful Monday to talk sports. Lamar is on the road right now, so it's gonna be just me and Nick, the great. He is our great mind when it comes to mocking, our mock draft and everything. So
I mock drafts. I mock people. Anything, bro.
Everything. He's an expert mocker.
Mock ideologies.
That's what he's here for.
If it ain't mine.
Right. And that's why we have him on here. But if you haven't done it, let's get all the preliminaries out of the way. Go over to the YouTube page, IOW Sports, and you will find all of our content there. We have, well, Nick is not on there. We're trying to get him on there, but we got Lamar's Wild Card Chief page on there. We have the No Name Podcast, Detroit Lions, and we have this wonderful show right here. Also, all our Twitter handles. Once I can find the stroll, there it is. All our social media, you see scrolling at the bottom. We on IG, we on Twitter. Each of us have our own handles and everything, so you can find us always in social media, or you can just go over to a Diddy party and you up and down.
Do you say stop? And then they'll keep licking because they don't care if you say stop.
Right. And I'm gonna say the same thing. He don't care if you say stop.
That actually should turn on. You're right. Against this? Well, we're against you.
I don't know what stop means. But anyway, we're gonna get into
we won't stop.
We're gonna get into some sports. We ain't gonna be before you long, but today I was at the gym and I saw this across the I don't remember if it's ESPN, but I just saw the headline coming across in the NAIA banned transgenders from competing in women's sports. I think we talked about it before, Dick, me, you, and Lamar. But this is a big move because the debate was out there. I don't know if anybody saw the press conference with Don Staley, and one of the reporters had asked her, and she was kind of choked up. She was kind of like trying to find the politically correct way and the right answer to answer. And she paused a minute, took a sip of her water, did one of those clear the throat things, before she actually answered the question. And they asked Lisa Bluter, too, the head coach for Iowa, the same question, and she kind of deflected because one of those questions that a lot of people don't want to touch. So that's why it's such a big deal now, because now the NAIA, which kind of governs the smaller schools, they are banning transgenders for competing in sports. So if you're not a biological male or biological female, you can't compete in those sports. It's not about what you identify with. They go by how you were born. So what'd you say about that, Nick?
As they should. There's no reason that if let's be real, all right? This is why I'm here. I say the shit that a lot of people think and they don't have the balls to say, but I do it. You can take any boys' high school basketball team and they will go win the WNBA title tomorrow. You can take a good boys' basketball team. They'll go win the national championship. Men and women are built differently. The biology is different, the size, the speed. That's why they don't compete against one another.
Right.
Because it's not ideal. That's why you have men's and women's sports. To take a cop-out, listen, you can identify as a female. Cool. That's fine. I have nothing against that. But you're still going to compete against the males because that's how you were physically created. There's no reason you should be able to go. One of my friends, he's a vice principal at a school, so he can never say anything out of line publicly or on Facebook. Right. He messaged me and he said, my son's the third in the state as a swimmer. And he would be like winning the gold medal if he was a woman. But he's third in the state, like in high school, boys. He's like, he would compete for a gold a medal, like the silver or whatever the time was.
Right.
They're just different, and anyone who has a problem with that is an idiot.
Yeah,
Like, there's no reason that people should use it. Like, if I'm a basketball player and I know I'm not going to go to D1, but I'm 6'5", what's to stop people from trying to like take advantage of the system? And that's the part.
Juwanna Mann effect.
Exactly. It's just people who have an issue with it. How are you a feminist and rooting for men to come into women's sports and take it over? It doesn't.
And I think that's into a bigger discussion, debate, rather I want to say, but because we always trying to appease everybody, that's not even how the world's created. You know, I don't. No, we joke a lot on this show. I joke a lot, even in person, whatever. However, a little bit. However, I do try to be sensitive to people and how they feel about certain things. You know what I'm saying? So with this particular thing, that's how you identify it. Just because I don't understand, don't mean I can't sympathize with you. And
that's fine. I don't have any issue with how you want to be and be who you are.
Right, but when it comes to this particular issue,
the world has to forget logic.
When it comes to this particular issue, as Nick has stated, and I agree with him, you as a look at Leah Thompson. That's the perfect example. She winning all these gold. Even the women were complaining. Talking about how it's not fair. But because we want to appease everybody, it's like, oh well. He or she should compete because that's how they identify with. It doesn't matter, and I applaud them for having enough guts to do it. Because if you want, I think we had said this too before, Nick. Make a transgender sport. So if you want to be identified as a woman, all the ones that identify as women have their own league. That way, y'all can compete. It's no different than the women's league, the men's league. Now you have a transgender league. That way, it's fair all the way across the board. I think that's the best way to do it because a woman can't out wrestle a man. I mean, there's some outliers out there, but in general, right? It's just outliers.
Those who are in competition, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
Maybe once in a while you get the anomaly that takes place, right?
Right.
But it's not happening. It's why softball fields are smaller than baseball fields. It's why marathon times are slower than men's times. It's why swimming times and world records in sprinting. The fastest woman of all time probably wouldn't even qualify for men's races.
Right.
But the guy who can't qualify for the men's race could go be the world record holder as a woman. There's a reason that we're different. And what makes us different is what makes us unique and what makes us special. What
we women celebrate that.
Men do a lot that men can't do. And that's what makes women amazing. Right. It's not a knock on women. It's just the facts of the biology. Like, men can't carry a baby. I know that might upset some people, but men can't carry a baby. What women do are unique. And what women do should be cherished, and they should be loved for who and what they are. Right. And I think it's a disrespect to women and to female athletes when men were trying to cross over into it. I don't. It shouldn't take place. If I ever had my daughter playing softball and a guy was playing against her, pitching against her, I'm gonna go smack the shit out of that dude's parents. That's me. Because it just doesn't. It's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like me going and playing dodgeball with a bunch of fucking 8th graders or 4th graders and just annihilate like Billy Madison. There's a reason that people who are of the same stature compete against one another.
Right.
Look at the one year the Chinese women's swim team all took steroids. They were annihilating the rest of the world.
Huge. Right? Yeah, big they were too.
They were my size.
Right.
They had shoulders upon shoulders, man, and they were not. Everyone's like, oh, something's not right here, but you couldn't say it. We all knew. Our eyes worked. Those bitches be cheating.
Yeah, but anyway, that's our little spiel on that. I didn't want to spend too much time on that, but I just wanted to mention it since it's one of those things that came up.
kudos to the NAIA being ahead of other organizations.
Right. We just had a national championship for the women's. South Carolina beat Iowa. But the bigger story was now first one of the stories was the ratings. I didn't get the national champion ratings yet. I was looking for them, but I couldn't find them. But
it was 14.9.
Was it 14.9?
14.9 million watched. I don't know the rating number. I just
that's what I meant. Yeah, viewership.
The viewers was 14.9.
Yeah. All right, I know that the Connecticut and Iowa game was 12.3 or something like that.
Yeah, and then yesterday was I think 14.9. I saw.
Right. So, and some of that was the Caitlin Clark effect. And she has been affecting the women's game since she's been in the league. I mean, she was pulling up from the logo and making it like it wasn't nothing. And I think that what she's done for the sport is great. The only thing I would say is that a one and done thing. So like after she's gone, because she's going into the draft. Is Juju Watkins enough to carry on? Is the Hannah Hidalgo's enough to carry on to get that viewership up? I don't know. That's something we have to see. But she's been great. I want to watch her every time I come on. I think I watch almost, if not all the Iowa games, most of the Iowa games. I see most of them.
Really?
Yeah. When I watched her play, and man, I seen her when she scored 40 points. I seen her, she just when she gets hot, it's like she's unconscious. She come down, whoop, turn around, whoop, And I think it's great for the game. I know you don't watch the women's game, but what is your opinion? I know you saw some headlines. What's your opinion on how she affecting the game and the sport itself?
I mean, she's doing stuff no other woman has ever done before. Her range is unheard of in women's sports. She's the Steph of women's sports, right? Mm-hmm. She's pulling up logo and shooting it in a natural form, not heaving it.
Yes.
She's popping with the wrist still. It's a regular shot for her. Mm-hmm. So that's impressive. Mm-hmm. Her imprint on the game and the youth. And to be an inspiration to young women is awesome. And she's crossed over cultures. She's crossed over into marketing. Mm-hmm. She's going to be the best thing to ever happen to the WNBA because the WNBA has been a financial failure.
Yes.
And
they're expanding.
They will be as close to profit as ever with her entering the league. You may even see seats sold that are in the upper level. And that's not a joke.
Yeah.
That is just a reality. Mm-hmm. They black out the stadiums and the arenas in the upper bowl because they don't sell those seats. Right. There's times where even the lower level is blacked out and in the corners, right? They'll sell behind the bench and behind the baskets. And then the other side of the court where the camera is, they won't even sell seats there. That's not a dig. That's just the reality of the attendance. Sometimes there's more for high school basketball games and small college teams than there are for the WNBA.
Right.
There will be record sales wherever she goes.
Indiana is where she goes.
It's impressive. Yeah, but still, they go to different places.
Yeah.
She comes to play the Liberty in New York, and the Garden will have the most they've ever had for a women's game there. I'll bet my life on it. There's a new generation of the women's basketball coming on. I don't know the names. I know the girl who's a freshman at South Carolina. There's a girl who's a freshman at USC. I just can't help but seeing it with the house of highlights.
Fuwali. You got Fuwali in South Carolina. You got Hannah Hidalgo in Notre Dame.
Doing like a long finish.
That's Fuwali. Then you got Notre Dame has Hannah Hidalgo. Then USC has Juju Watkins.
Look at you. I'm impressed.
I watch all the games, man.
All right. Yeah. So, as someone who has a daughter, she's interested in it. She stopped playing basketball when COVID hit, and she just sticks with softball now. But I watched a little bit of it last weekend with her because she wanted to watch it.
Right.
And It's interesting. I did see like the last 5 minutes of the game. I saw the first 5 and the last 5 yesterday. I saw her catch fire early.
Right.
And I said to my son, I was like, she ain't going to be able to hold this up. She's going to tire out. And then the last 5 minutes, I thought she played a little bit of hero ball, forcing threes.
Yeah.
When
I agree.
Could have had some good possessions. And when they were working their offense, they were getting good shots. But that 6'7" behemoth was,
Cardoso ain't no joke.
Yeah, she was blocking everything, man. From what I saw, she was the difference maker in the game. The girl for Iowa, with like she has like the Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah, that's
she had the big game in the Final Four against
Hannah Stokey. Hannah Stokey.
Yeah. She was a difference maker on Thursday or the Final Four game.
Right.
She got neutralized.
Man, one thing I'll say this about South Carolina. Two points I wanted to make. One thing about Caitlin Clark is she said she played with the boys most of the time growing up. So I kind of helped develop her game. And it
happens a lot with women. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Take,
that's true.
That's a very good skill builder.
Right. And then
you had to be more physical with the ball and then protect your body with the dribble just so that we didn't poke it. And you could tell that she has a very different skill set. She's not the quickest of foot, which why South Carolina gave her some trouble because they got some quick girls out there.
Right.
But you could tell that she's got that, and this isn't a knock in any way, shape, or form. She has more of a male control and handle and body composure.
Right. You can, in the same with South Carolina, they practice against the men, so you can see how that kind of helps on both sides.
Oh, that's the school that does it. That's the one that brings like the intramural guys in to play.
Yeah, and sometimes they play against the South Carolina men's basketball team too in practice. So I think that with the game itself, I think the one thing that South Carolina did was they ran a lot of different people at her. And since they bench is so deep, they can keep switching in, switching out. And Iowa just tired out. And so they played the fatigue game, to warm down until they didn't have any more energy. But as far as Caitlin Clark, I agree with you, Nick. I think that she is going to bring a lot of eyes to the WNBA because the WNBA product is not that great. I enjoy women's college basketball, but watching the WNBA, if you're not watching the Aces play, maybe the Liberty is a couple steps down, and after that, everything is just garbage. It's just not fun. Watch.
Yeah. She might be able to have a very unique contract because teams might see profitability now with her.
Right.
And I wonder if that's something that they can structure into the contract of percentage of ticket sales or percentage of ticket sales that have been greater or will be greater in years previously, where she gets something like that or part of ownership. Her marketability, her fame is greater than the rest of the entire league combined. Let's be realistic with it.
I agree. I don't disagree.
Sales like she is. And if the WNBA, the NBA should step in and be like, well, they own that, right?
Right.
They should be like, we will give you whatever you want. We know Ice Cube offered you $5 million to play in the Big Three.
But she can do both, though. He gave her the ability to do both. So it was like he was taking away from the WNBA. But go ahead.
She doesn't have to do the WNBA unless it's worth it financially to her. Now, she's going to be making, they're saying an estimated 20 to 30 million in marketing and revenue. She's already got, I think, a State Farm commercial.
Yeah.
I think I saw.
State Farm, Gatorade.
Good for her, man. She's worked hard. She's done what no one else has done. She's done it in Iowa. Who the hell becomes a household name in Iowa? That's impressive, right?
Yeah.
And the only time we hear about Iowa is like the Caucasus, because it's the
right.
You're for real. The only time we hear about Iowa,
right? It does exist.
Brees Hall came from Iowa State,
right? Yeah,
Brock
you're right. Though
we hear about college football players.
College football players. That's
we
it.
never hear about that state. and now she's a household name, and good for her, man.
Yeah,
she
I
deserves
agree.
it. She deserves all that comes to her because she's a groundbreaker, and she might be the first of many. There might be other girls now on her coattails who do the same thing, and it just shows that now that sport, women's professional basketball, has been around for an entire generation. These girls who were born into it in the early 2000s, late 90s, are becoming a different breed because they played it with the hopes of having to go pro one day.
Right.
So, not every generation had that.
I agree. I think it's time for the WNBA to wake up and do something. Because here's my thing. A lot of great college players, women players, came out of college. When Connecticut was churning out great players, they went to the WNBA, they disappeared. You don't even hear about them. You forget. You say, "Oh yeah, I forgot about them." Unless you're an advocate WNBA watcher, you don't really hear much about them. So I think now with Caitlin Clark going there, she will bring life into the WNBA, and she won't disappear, and that will bring life around the players who played around her. Because, like you said, I didn't watch Iowa basketball at all. I tuned in to watch her, and then I learned about other players on Iowa. Stokey, Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall. I knew about them because I watched Caitlin Clark play. And I think when she goes to Indiana Fever, say again?
I'm a Northeast guy, so I know Taurasi, Sue Bird from Connecticut, in that market, in the same media market as UConn. You learn those names. Rebecca Lobo years ago.
Right.
I know the UConn players because you would see them on local news on top of that.
Right. Yeah, but outside of that, once they went to WNBA, you ain't. I mean, and that school kind of gave a little bit of birth because of her shooting, but still wasn't like I think Caitlin Clark will do. But anyway, that's our spiel on the women's sports. I know it's painful for Nick, but we got it out of the way.
Pretty good. I think I didn't take a dig once.
Yeah, you did.
It's different.
I was waiting too. I was bracing myself. Okay, where's it coming? Where's it coming?
When your Twitter says that she's into it now and she wants to talk it, so it softens a dad.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing, and it's like some of your takes about it I don't disagree with. Especially when it comes to WNBA, I watch it, but I don't really like. I don't enjoy it like I enjoy college. I think college is just a better product. It just is. We
got to stop the comparisons between men and women's sports, and we have to just say they play the same sport, but the components, the athleticism, the abilities, the agilities are all different.
Well, that's why I go. So I go into it with that mindset though. So I don't go into it saying like, I'm watching the.
No, there is a lot. Not you, but there's a lot that try to do that. And I think it's unfair to the female athletes because that game is different than the men's game.
Yes.
And men can get by more on athleticism. And I think the women's game is more technically sound.
Yes.
Their passes have to be more on point because, and this is not a dig, it's just the reality of it. They don't have that athleticism to blow by. There's not, when you see a Michael Jordan and even the best players, his contemporaries, he was so much more athletic than them and driving by them and jumping over them. Women, the athleticism abilities are closer. So you got to be more technically sound with your V cuts, with your back screen passes, your screens. And I'm not even getting to the illegal screen, which was completely illegal.
Oh,
complete.
Man,
everything
that was garbage. That was a garbage call.
It was not at all. Everything you teach as a coach not to do during a screen, that player did.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. For me watching the women's game all the time, here's my argument on that. When you watch from a different angle, yes, from a technical point, that was an illegal screen.
On several levels.
Yeah. Here's what I'm saying. That's how they do screens throughout the whole entire season. That's how I watch women's they illegal screen all the time and never get caught. So to me, at this particular time, in that moment, why are we calling that?
That don't make that call. I've never been a fan of other refs and what they do or don't do with their whistle affecting that call. I'm not a fan of that stance. That's nothing against you. That's just my take on it.
Yeah.
Why am I being judged for my call against what other refs did or didn't? In that moment, you're taught as a screener, and I've coached basketball. I played. I coached for 25 years since I got out of high school in '96 after playing my whole life. You screen, you keep your arms in front of you. Her arms were out to engage with the elbow, which is an illegal screen.
Right.
Her base, her legs are supposed to be no wider than shoulder width. She was bobsledding out to the side, or speed skating with one leg all the way out to impede that path. Another illegal. She wasn't set. Another illegal. You could have called an illegal screen on 3 different components of it. Right. So I have no issue with the call. I think it's the right call. People might not like it and might want it, like you said, oh, it's not called here, it's not called there. That doesn't change that that's the right call. It might be the wrong time for some people, but the call was the right call.
And I hear what you're saying. I guess
like
for me,
the shot went in, and then we're like, no, illegal.
Yeah, that'd have been worse. But I'm saying my thing is
instantly because the angle that referee had showed the girl ice skating, planting out to the side. That's an illegal screen.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like that call, man. I hear what you're saying. I just like that.
What you get away with 3 minutes left in the second quarter always differs of what you get away with in the final minute. Whistles tightened up, game plays get tightened up. Jump shots that are left open when 3 minutes left in the second quarter are different than a shot that you might get late in the game. Everything changes late in the game. You got to be tighter. And then that was a bad screen. And I'm sure the coach, Gino Amarillo.
I say his name wrong. So
you know what I'm talking about when I say Gino. The UConn coach.
Yeah.
He'll never throw a player under the bus. God bless him. He's great. He knows. He would have bitched otherwise. He knows that was an illegal screen, and you can't do anything about it, man.
Yeah, I just hate to see that's what that call
Don't blow a fucking 12-point lead.
That too.
Don't blow a 12-point lead, and there's no problem in the final minute.
That's true too.
You lost that game way before that play. It's not like that game was one possession back and forth, lead change you fucking choked the fucking way a good lead. You don't give up a 12-point lead. That play never happens. They're fouling you. You're icing free throws. Done. You're in the finals.
Yeah, that's what South Carolina did.
Yeah.
They got the lead and they held on to it and didn't choke away the lead. I guess we get into our NFL since we're only gonna do an hour anyway. So right. we're gonna do Jets and Lions for those who are watching. So you want? Yeah, I go first.
You had the better season last year. Your call if you want to talk first.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you gonna ask me the questions, or you want me just to do an opening statement?
Well, let's just do a little summary, and then you can freelance.
Okay.
Go give me your. I forget. I don't have the numbers pulled up. Give me your record last year. We know you went to the NFC Championship, and you were in it on the end. And then give me where you're drafting.
12-5, I believe, wasn't it? 12-5. I gotta look my damn self.
Yeah, fuck. If Jets won 12 games for the first time in however. Oh, I'm fucking no. Look at you getting arrogant up in the big D.
No.
Damn, he doesn't have time to pay attention.
I got time to pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm watching. I don't even know if it's sports. I'm at the gym because I'm so into my workout. Man, you sound like a fucking white girl. I see you taking
my pumpkin latte.
Lululemon or whatever those pants are.
Lululemon.
I heard a funny story.
Go ahead.
That the creator of those pants, Lululemon, had a business, and the business got bought out by like Asian people, and he swore up and down if he ever created another company, he would create a company that Asian people had a problem pronunciating. That I swear to God, that is legit.
I think I heard that before.
Podcast with like Andrew Schultz and Shane Gillis. And I was like, there's no way this is legit. And they're like, fucking Google it. And I'm like, I'm Googling it as the show is talking about it. And it's legit, man. That's hysterical.
It is. Yeah, well, they had a great season last year.
They did.
One of the things I'll say is one of those funny things because the Lions have given me PTSD for years. You watch, you see how okay, it's gonna be the year. I see him moving, and then they do something to blow the lead, lose the game, whatever it is. And so when it came to the playoffs, I said, well, let them just at least win the first playoff game because they won a long time. They won that one. But they win the second one, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Get to the NFC Championship, I'm cool. And just like when they got to the NFC Championship, I'm like, they can honestly get the Super Bowl. So it's kind of that momentum, and you watch them play. But the biggest thing throughout the season was defense. The offense was clicking. It was defense. And I think that's something they tried to address this year. Getting Amik Robinson, getting Carlton Davis, re-signing Mosley again. They thought they were gonna have Cameron Sutton, but that didn't work out. And just moving pieces, getting DJ Reader, Davenport from the Vikings, so they kind of filled in some of those holes. And you still have Kirby Joseph, you still have Malafawu, you still have Brian Branch, who, oh my God, who did great for a rookie, and you still have Jack Campbell, who's coming along. Anzalone developed pretty well. Even Barnes kind of came on, so the linebacker crew is pretty solid.
You built a nice defense pretty quickly,
right? So now going into the draft, I think they in a position where they haven't been in a long time. They can actually truly take the best available player.
It's a nice
for that team. Let me say that because you might say, "Oh, if Marvin Harrison, it ain't gonna never happen. If Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to him, they should take him." But he might not be the best available player for that team. For our team. So that.
I think he's the best available player.
Well, I'm just using that as an example.
Player in the draft.
I just use that as an example. But yeah, yeah. So I think that it's a good position to be in. I mean, I'm enjoying it. Still kind of scared. Because I was just that 1 year. Can you do it again next year? Yeah. Can Jared Goff do it again next year? I hear a lot of people calling for God, why can't I think of the Tennessee quarterback? Why can't I think of his name? Say again.
Joe Milton?
No. Tennessee Volunteers quarterback they drafted.
Joe Milton?
No, they drafted.
Hendon Hooker?
Hendon Hooker, yeah. Everybody
Milton is the one coming out this year. I thought you were talking.
Yeah. That's what come out this year. Yeah, and I think that you roll with Jared Goff. He got you to the NFC Championship. He didn't lose it for you. It was the defense. I mean, the offense made a couple of plays here, like the fumble and stuff like that, but really it was the defense that lost the game for you in the NFC Championship. So I think you keep going with Jared Goff. I don't think you should.
Contributed greatly.
Well, we you
don't leave points on the field and play. I know we've discussed that at great length, but you can't leave your players in that position.
Well, you're not drafting the coach. That's why I didn't mention.
I know. Like, first round selection, we take a game manager,
right?
Not Trent Dilfer, an actual game manager. We draft a clock guy from Georgia. Looking at your team, and I'm on Pro Football Network. Those mock drafts.
Right.
They have your team needs listed as edge, cornerback, defensive tackle, offensive guard, and wide receiver. I know who's the guard you guys lost in free agency.
Jonah Jackson. Oh, they just picked up my man from Baltimore too. So I think that was an underrated pickup. A man from Baltimore, the tackle from Baltimore. For the Ravens.
We got Morgan Moses on a trade from Baltimore, and we signed John Simpson, the guard. You took someone from Baltimore too?
Yeah. I can't call his name right now, but I think that was an underrated move by Brad Holmes because he filled in that position that Jonah. I think he's an upgrade from Jonah Jackson. But Jonah Jackson was always hurt, and Graham Glasgow outplayed him, who is an older player.
Yeah.
So I think that was a great move that haven't been. Look, then I think with the receiver thing, we still have Green, who we don't know what he can develop into. Because in North Carolina, he was a Drake May's #1 target. So if he can develop, I'm not saying not to get a receiver, but I don't think you need that in an early round. That's something you can pick up. It's really receiver heavy this year. You can pick up something in the third, fourth round and still get a good receiver.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, you guys are in a great position to take the best available player. And with the simulation I just ran as the Lions, the top players on the board are Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois, which would be a gift if he fell that far.
Right.
Somebody who I think is perfect for the Lions, if he's there, is he was a tackle at Duke, Graham Barton.
Oh, yeah.
And he's projected to move into guard at the NFL. You got Christian Haynes from UConn, who could be falling into late round 1, or if you trade back a little bit into round 2. That's somebody who would be great fit for you.
Right.
I know he just got a DUI, but Tavondre Sweat from Texas, that big, massive 340-pound guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get a fucking DUI, man, that's coming up to the biggest month of your life. That's just fucking idiotic. But the talent, man, to put him in the middle of that defense, guys like Chop Robinson or Cooper DeJean to add to your secondary with Branch back there. You guys will have a lot of options. It could be a receiver like Xavier Worthy with the speed. We know how much the Lions with speed with Jamison Williams.
I like him.
He just set the record at the combine for the 40. Keon Coleman from Florida State. You guys, there's going to be a lot of good talent at the end of round 1. Like, it's not. Right. I think I don't consider the quarterbacks elite. I don't either, man. I think we had the discussion before too. I don't. Yeah. I think Jaden Daniels will be the best quarterback by far in this draft. I'm not sold on Caleb in any way, shape, or form. I think the Bears made a huge mistake. I would have kept Justin Fields. I would have sold number 1 to the biggest bidder, and I would have just made the best possible fucking team everywhere else. I would have took 1s for next year and a 2 in 26.
Right.
And next year, if I need a quarterback, I have all this ammunition to go get it, and I got a complete team.
For him. You probably have better quarterbacks coming out when you get ready to pick again.
Yeah, or you ride out Fields, you pick up the 5th-year option, and then you go for it in 2026. You go all up for quarterback if Fields can't swim.
Right. So, I was surprised at that move. I was very
not a race thing with Justin.
Right? You know what? That one went over my head too. That one went right over my head.
I think the Bears will be kicking themselves in the ass. I believe in Justin Fields. I really do. I said even though Trevor Lawrence was labeled as the generational prospect, that's right when I think we started doing shows together. I was like, I love Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to be the best in this class. And I just feel that they didn't give him enough in Chicago. But looking at the quarterbacks, I don't like any of them. Like Jaden Daniels, I think could have not to the level, but a Lamar type impact where his legs can help him until the passing develops.
Right.
I think he's a better passer than Lamar at this stage. Because Lamar went the end of round 1, Baltimore traded up. Jaden's going to be a top pick. So as a prospect, he's viewed in a higher light than Lamar was. So I'm not saying shit that isn't true. I'm not putting Lamar hate. If Lamar was viewed like Jaden Daniels was as a prospect, he would have went before.
For those who listen, you talk about Lamar Jackson. We're not talking about Lamar Wallace.
Yes. Well, he sucks too. But I think the Bears should have overhauled their team and took as many top picks as you can get, because you can never have too many tickets in the lottery that is the NFL draft. Yeah. And I don't think Caleb Williams is built for criticism. I don't think he's built for a tough blue-collar city. I don't think he's built for the NFL game. I just crying in your mother's arms. And this has nothing to do with the color of his nails or lipstick or whatever the fuck that was. I've had this take since the week I saw it. I cannot give the keys to my franchise to somebody who's crying in their mother's arms hysterically for a loss in September. You're on the Bears, dude. You're going to have a lot of fucking losses in September. Toughen the fuck up. And that's not something you acquire when you're 21, 22 years old. You're already built tough before that.
I
think
I'll say this. I'm going to say this because...
And good for you, because you'll run the division.
I'll say this because, on other shows, we all talk about, men crying, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think Nick meaning that, but it's the particular situation at a particular time.
Yo, I cry every day.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm just making clarity for people who may be listening. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing against that a man is crying. It's not that.
It's that particular situation,
crying
that particular time,
uncontrollably in your mother's arms after losing a football game that wasn't a championship. It was a game in September.
Right.
Now I get it. He's that committed. You lost 4 more games after that. I think maybe 5. Like you lost a lot of games. This wasn't the national championship. It wasn't like your dreams got busted.
Right.
You're at USC. No one expected you to make the championship game, so that loss shouldn't have devastated you like that. But yeah, that should have been in private.
Yeah, and my thing too is that
a lot.
Here's another take on that too. If you know that you being who you are, that you're gonna be under the spotlight. So even if you feel that way, you take that out of camera sight. You should have enough as a leader. You're a leader. You should have enough brains, enough wherewithal of the situation. Say, you know what? Let me go in the locker room. Let me go somewhere where nobody can see me, because it's gonna be viewed by everybody. So that's one thing. Second of all, when I watch him play the game, when he gets in certain situations, he panics. He throws picks, and it's like that's nothing. That's not NFL caliber quarterback play. That's not to me a leader who I want on my team. And you think about if he's going to Chicago where you don't have a good team already. You're building. So if you can't handle the pressure at USC, you going to Chicago where the media gonna be in your face all the time, criticizing everything. You can't handle it there. You damn sure can't handle it over here in the NFL. So that's my thing with Caleb.
Yeah. And when you talk about football play, USC ran 4 verticals and basically almost like street ball. We're going to run 4 verticals and you're going to break off into the open areas. And our athletes are going to be so much better than theirs that there's going to be guys open. And it was never asked to be a 3-step drop, read and release, on-time quarterback. Newsflash, that's what the NFL is all about.
Right.
So I see a lot of issues with him immediately. I see blitzes confusing him. I see defensive coordinators throwing different shit out with defensive linemen dropping and getting picks because he's not used to having to read that. He's used to having good offensive line, top athletes on the field, a wide receiver. Everyone in the NFL is a top athlete. Absolutely. So the comprehension and the adaptation to the NFL game as a quarterback is where my biggest concerns are with him. He's got the arm, he's got the legs. He's never been asked to read a defense, find the hole, and time it and get it in there.
Right.
It's a lot of street ball plays. His highlight films are all street ball breakdowns. But I could shit on him all day. But getting back to the Lions, I think that the Lions have put themselves in a great position to just take the best available player. Where, like you said, they don't have to force themselves to take a guy and let some better talent go. They've done such a nice job of constructing this roster and finding talent, early one, mid 1, 2, and beyond, where I think for the first time in a long time, maybe your life, you're confident with how your team is going to be managed, not just draft day, like the entire offseason. And Detroit has become a destination to go to.
Yeah, that's a good point right there.
Sentence of like, all right, I'm going to Detroit. Fuck, I better get my degree because I'm going to be out of the league in a few years. They're not telling me I'm going to be ruined. Like, that's just, it's been.
Well, as a place to come to get some money, a couple of years and go on somewhere else.
Let them overpay me, cut me in 2 years, and then somewhere else and win. Right. But now it's like, okay, this is a culture and a team that players want to be a part of, and it's like a fist bump now if you get drafted to go to Detroit.
Where that's interesting you said that.
Get me out of this,
because that's part of what DJ Reader said. So I've been watching this team, I've been rooting for this team. And when they called me, I was more than happy to come here because I was already a fan of this team. Yeah, that's one of the things he said. And also, they locked them into a room until they got the deal. It's like, hey, man, it's getting close to me to leave.
Make my team better? I'd kidnap somebody to make the Jets. So, you got any guys that you have in mind? You just are you best player available? See how the board falls?
Yeah. I mean, all the players I would like to get, probably won't get. Like, I like to have Myron Harrison. I like to have Quentin. What's his name? Quentin, the cornerback. What's his name?
Cooper DeJean. Oh, Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, Quinyon Mitchell. I like to have him. So I think that in the position, this is an odd position to pick at 29. I used to pick it in the top 10.
Yeah, you're used to we could get the best player at each position. Now,
right?
Shit. But this draft, the strength of this draft, I think, after you get past the
quarterbacks,
it's the depth.
Yeah,
it's their cornerbacks 1 through 5 are all rated similarly.
Yeah,
offensive tackles after alt 2 through 7. A lot of people have them in all different order. No one. There's not a consensus.
Right.
Offensive tackles, you got Byron Murphy and Newton, and then you could argue other guys like Sweat should be up there for what he does. He's that big body who can eat up the middle and open up the outside for the edge guys. And
I like the fact that they can get a tackle or they can get a guard, and he don't have to play right away because they already have players there. So you can kind of develop him for when Decker retires, when Ragnar retires, right? Because they getting out there in age. Yeah. So you can just kind of sit them down and kind of just get that line, just retool that line, and then you got him the hooker behind Goff. So Goff started to look like he's fading off. You can kind of put Hooker in there, and not a hooker, but hooker, and then bring in those whatever works. You know what I'm saying? And then bring those young tackles and guards in there, and that's how you build a winning organization.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the state laws in Michigan. Clean transaction. I look at the Lions and I see a team that just keep getting the best talent in there. They are a knock you in the mouth team on both sides of the ball. Just keep building on that. Either go get a stout body up front or go get a freak athlete to put behind them who can make plays on either side of the ball.
Yeah.
But I really like the construction of your team and where the Lions are at and where they could go and where they should have went last year, to be honest.
Yeah, that still can't get over that, but it is what it is. Well, let's talk about the Jets, man. They made a lot of good moves, man. Every time I look, I'm like, the Jets got songs. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. The thing that I love about the offseason as a whole, what's up, Wild Wave, Jet fan? I love that it's a lot of low risk, high reward contracts. Tyron Smith's only guaranteed 6.5, could be up to 20. I hope to God Tyron Smith makes $20 million because that means we won the Super Bowl. His last bonus is $1 million for winning the Super Bowl. So I hope to God Tyron Smith gets paid $20 million this year. It was a trade for John Simpson or a trade for Morgan Moses. Joe Douglas, our general manager, has been on record of saying his biggest regret was not going up that extra $2 or $3 million to keep Moses when Baltimore signed him 2 years ago. So he's back. Very stout, good right tackle. We also signed a left guard, John Simpson, from Baltimore. And with the additions of Smith, Simpson, Moses, and we have Vera Tucker, who hopefully can stay healthy for the first time since his rookie year, and second-year center Joe Tippmann. We've been a stretch zone read. And now it looks like we're going to have more of a power attack, which I like more. I feel that with Breece Hall, just forward, smash everybody, and let him break through that hole and off the arm tackles and go. If you got a defensive line that penetrates and gets in the backfield quickly, it can blow up a lot of this shit when you're doing zone blocks.
Right.
If you're not in sync, if you have a revolving door on the offensive line, like we've had communication breakdowns, reads aren't in sync. Just go forward and knock the shit out of the guy in front of you. That's the type of football I want. We brought in Mike Williams from the Chargers. I know he's coming off, ACL surgery. He got injured week 3 last year. I think he's a nice compliment to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I like Garrett Wilson.
Receiving core doesn't need much to be excited about, and I, as Wild Wave is, am big team weapon. Jets fans have PTJD, post-traumatic Jets disorder, as I call it. They're screaming, well, what if the linemen all go down? I go, I don't think Joe Douglas is going to go into this draft with the mentality of we're going to use 11, 12, or 13 offensive linemen again.
Right.
I think we have.
He said Mike probably won't be ready to week 4.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
All right.
So, when you look at the Jets offensively, yes, Joe Douglas did exactly, and Wild Wave can testify to this. I've been saying it when the season was still going on. The big service Joe Douglas could do is go into the draft and not address the offensive line before that, where the entire league knows we need to take offensive line. I said he needs to get 3 starters. Everybody in Jets world jumped down my throat. Everybody was like, there's no way. Well, 10 days into free agency, Joe Douglas got 3 starters in free agency. You know, he got an all-pro level left tackle in Tyron Smith. He got the guy who last week was reported had the highest pay above what you earned. There's some, like Aaron Rodgers only got $81, but John Simpson was the highest above what he earned.
Kofi.
Performance-based pay, it's called. John Simpson, at 26 years old, is a road grading guard who could be on the rise and might not have even touched his best football yet. Now, playing the all-pro next to an all-pro like Tyron Smith can make you better. You know, sitting next to him all week, seeing what he sees, learning what he learns, could definitely.
Yeah.
Take off the E. Tyron. Isn't that where Iron Sheik was from? Tyran, Iran.
Tyran.
But when I look at what Joe did, able to get this line constructed before the draft, you don't know what the Jets are going to do. You don't know. Are they going to trade up and go get a weapon? I'm big on trade up. If you want to be all in, go all in. Take this year's 1 at number 10, take next year's 2, and throw in a 4, and go up to the Chargers at 5 and get either Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors from LSU. I'll even settle for 6 or 7 and take Rome Odunze. But I want to get one of these 3 receivers, because if Garrett Wilson were to go down, it's ugly. Now you got Alan Lazard starting after he basically quit on the team last year and got benched as a healthy scratch and didn't dress. So I think I would rather have that player and draft depth in the offensive line in round 3. We don't have a 2 from the Aaron Rodgers trade. A lot of people want to trade back. I'll say this. If I had a gamble, which I don't do anymore, I blocked all my gambling apps for 5 years. I signed a fucking waiver thing in New Jersey that says I cannot gamble for 5 years. Like my social, if I go to a casino and I win $10,000 and I try to cash it out at the table, they'd be like, "You can't win this. You signed the waiver."
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with gambling. I gave up alcohol. I gave up drugs. I gave up porn. Gambling was the last fucking thing.
Why did you give up porn though? I mean,
just it was.
Is it an addiction?
It's part of the addiction. With
oh, okay.
I was drinking and drugging, so I wanted that whole style to die. Gambling last thing, and that just died this weekend, Saturday night.
Good for you, man. Good for you. It takes a big person to do that.
Being diabetic, it was long overdue, but I wanted to. When life stresses or kicks you in the dick, I want to do healthy shit that's good for me and can improve.
Right. I'm proud of you, man.
We're still a gambling man. I would bet that the Jets do not pick at number 10. They either go up or they go back. I don't think the value at 10, if 3 wide receivers are gone, it's not worth taking number 4 there. If Walt is gone, the tackle, I think tackles 2 through 5 between JC Latham, Fashanu, Fuaga, and Fatano. I'm good with any of the 4. So I don't think you have to stay there. If you move back and get more draft capital to make up for that 2 that you lost in the Rodgers trade, I think that's a win. I think the worst thing to do is to stay at 10 and pick unless Romo Dunze
falls to you. Right.
Yeah. I'm okay with Bowers. We need another weapon, and I think Bowers is a good mismatch. And I hate when people label him just a tight end.
Oh yeah, he's not there. He's like what's the Lions tight end name?
Laporta.
It's like Laporta. He can be he's a weapon. But you know who's a sleeper that I think if on the right team he'd be good? McConkey.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh God.
You know what I'm saying? I think on the right team he would be a great weapon. Like Lions. I think Lions could use him. Cause you got St. Brown, you got Speed Jamison Wilson, you got Laporta. They just signed back Brock. So I think he would be a great addition. And if like Anton Green turned out to be halfway decent, and you still got my man from Cleveland. I don't know why I can't think of his name. But anyway, you got some decent weapons there, and you got catching running backs off the backfield. So I like that. Are you trying to read Wild Ways?
Yeah. Throw that up. Would you rather trade back and build for the future, going in now? Wild Wave, I'm all in. I am all in. Go get a better weapon, because I think if Garrett Wilson goes down, aside from Aaron Rodgers, I think Garrett Wilson, even more so than Brees, because Garrett being there opens up Brees. You get rid of Garrett, you're going to go back to 8 in the box again, and there's going to be no holes to run through. Linemen are going to be getting rolled up on again and getting injured. I think if you add another weapon, and Mike Williams is only a 1-year deal, so adding another weapon like a Romo Dunze, who's an outside wide receiver, like a Mike Williams, could learn from him. And then you have Williams and Odunze on the outside with Garrett lining up on the inside, getting free releases against nickels. Oh my God, he'll go for 150 catches.
I just hate, man. I hate the Aaron Rodgers injury so early, because now we can't really assess what they could have been that year.
I'm the opposite, actually.
Okay,
I'm the opposite.
Why you say that?
Yeah, like we didn't even get a look at what it would have been.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite, because as much of a negative fuck I am in every other aspect of life, like I always trying to find a positive with the Jets. It's the only reason I stay in peace with them, because they don't give me anything in return. I think that Rodgers getting hurt showed how flawed the rest of the offense was, and it enabled Joe Douglas to address all of those issues. So now this year, the line is fixed. You got another weapon on the outside with Mike Williams. You realized Alan Lazard was not going to be an answer. Corey Davis, unfortunately, stepped away from the team last year. Right.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So the weapons weren't enough. And I think, listen, if we take an offensive lineman, am I going to be upset about it? No, because eventually we're going to need him.
I mean, but the draft has a lot of great receivers in there. When you have a receiver like Garrett Wilson, you don't really need. It'd be nice to have Marvin Harrison Jr., don't get me wrong, but you don't really need him as much as another team would need him, because you already got Garrett Wilson. You know what I'm saying?
I would give up this year's one and next year's one with no issue if Arizona wanted to trade out a number 4. I would say here, because if you go team up Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. with Mike Williams, if you have Harrison and Williams on the outside with Garrett Wilson in the slot, Brees Hall is going to run for 3,000 yards, because you're not going to be able to you're going to have 3 safeties back. There's going to be 5 guys in the box, because you're going to be shit scared of the big play, and Brees Hall will just eat all day. I'm going over a little top with the numbers, but if you want to come up, stop the run, pick your poison. Mike Williams is the highest contested catch rate in football. Marvin Harrison Jr. could be a better route running Randy Moss. Like, think about that. And now Garrett Wilson is feasting underneath. Tyrod Taylor could lead that team to the playoffs in an entire season. That's how good the talent would be. I think we are in the era of the NFL where you don't have to worry about if NFL wide receivers will work out anymore. The athleticism, the freakish ability that they have, from day one. Like, sure, somebody like Puka can come out of the blue, right? But when you see a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., and everything, he can run by you, he can run through you, he can run with you on his back, he can catch the ball contested, he catches his hands. I mean, I would go get that guy. If I'm the Jets and you want to be all in and you got Rodgers saying he could play 2 or 3 more years, why not load up and give him the greatest skill players he's ever had? Every time Aaron Rodgers gets knocked out of the playoffs, it's because they've only got one go-to guy, elite defensive coordinators, figure out a game plan to take out Jordy Nelson, to take out Devontae Adams. Rodgers throws uncharacteristic interceptions. Nobody else is able to get open. You can't rely on a guy like Randall Cobb. It's just the truth. Valdez, you can't rely against those guys. And I don't want to get to the playoffs and say, what if? I want to be able to score points with this defense. You look at the Super Bowl last year, Mel, it was 19-19 at the end of regulation. Right. You look at the AFC Championship, it was 17-10. Everyone's got good defenses. We have elite defense. That's no question. We might even be better now that we got Reddick.
I forgot that's another addition y'all got added.
Yeah, the trade for Reddick, and it's still a 1-year deal. And we gave up a 3rd rounder in 2026. We could be getting a 3rd rounder if we lose Reddick. If we don't extend Reddick, we could get a 3rd rounder in return. So basically, it would be just a swap. We'd give up a pick in the 3rd. We'd get a 3rd compensation pick. We'd move down maybe 10, 15 spots to get Hassan Reddick for an all-in season. So when you look at the defense, if you can get to 21 points, 24, you're going to win a lot of games with this defense. Our special teams are elite. Our defense is elite. If our offense could somehow find a way to be top 10 or even higher, the New York Jets are going to win a lot of games and will be in contention to be a competitor in the playoffs.
I know one team you got to worry about, Buffalo.
I disagree. We match up well against Buffalo. Zach Wilson was 2-1 in his last 3 starts against Buffalo, which means the immortal Josh Allen was 1-2 against Zach Wilson. They've lost 8 starters. They've lost 6 captains.
I said you don't have to worry about them.
Oh, I thought you said
no, you don't have to worry about that.
Josh Allen can always have a Josh Allen game, right?
Who the hell are you gonna throw it to?
They'll figure it. They'll trade. They'll trade up. That's a team I would, if you want to talk draft, that's a team who could trade up. They can just pay a lot to go up into the top 10 to get one of these receivers. So that's another reason I want to trade up. I want to keep someone away from Buffalo. I'll be completely honest. Not that you draft with the fear of an opponent, but I would call all these teams and say, hey, anyone calls and makes you an offer, you make sure you give us a shot to top it. Because if I'm a team trading back, I would rather trade back with the Jets at 10 than a team in the 20s, because then you could trade back again and get more compensation.
That's actually pretty good. I mean, because you got Miami in your division, Buffalo, and New England, right?
Oh, speaking of New England,
go ahead.
Did you see Antonio Gibson? Antonio Gibson posted a picture of his locker in New England, and it's number 12.
Really? Wow.
I don't know if he posted it on his story. It said 12, Antonio Gibson.
Then he retired. You got to retire number 12, man. You got to retire number 12. I'm sorry. And what's that? You hate New England. They got to retire that number. You can't nobody else get that number. He's the greatest player, one of the greatest players you had on your team. You can't let nobody else get that number.
Fuck him.
I mean, but take your hate out of that.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. You know what I'm saying?
It ended poorly. I know they all said the right words, and they're doing it publicly, and they don't want the public's dispute, but fuck them. I hope they give it to fucking somebody like Cam Newton, and he rocks it. Fuck it. I don't care. I know it's probably just a fucking glitch or a Photoshop.
Right.
Or maybe he had the locker. I don't know, but yeah, you can't. If the Jets haven't given out 80 for Wink or Bet, the Patriots aren't giving out 12.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
forever, man. And the I posted on Facebook the racist white drunken outrage coming out of New England today. That number 12 went to somebody else. This is going to be so much fun to see.
I thought you were talking about Mac Jones.
Oh, that fucking dick grab. Where'd he go? Carolina? Tampa.
Did he go? Jacksonville. Jacksonville. He went to Jacksonville, yep.
It's like Jacksonville. Like if you took Tampa and Carolina and merged them, you get Jacksonville. Now the title.
All right, before we get out of here, what's your prediction for the Jets next year?
I'll say what I've been saying. If this team can stay healthy, I honest to God think they have a chance to be one of the last teams standing, if not the last team. Health has been our biggest problem. On paper now, you can say we're one of the most talented teams in the league, but that doesn't win you a fucking game. Having the same offensive line go out there week after week, having Aaron Rodgers play more than 3 minutes, there's a lot of questions with this team, and I think all of the questions revolve around health.
Yeah.
The defense has been extremely healthy the last 2 years. You hope that the injury bug doesn't start to bite them now that the offense starts to come up. I will say this. I would much rather the defense have some injuries than the offense because we missed 3 of our top 4 cornerbacks last year, and we brought in guys like Craig James and 2 other guys whose names I can't even remember. And we held the Philadelphia Eagles to 14 points. So I think defensively we can withstand some more injuries because of how the scheme is taught, coached, and executed rather than offensive injuries. So I just hope it stays healthy, and I think this team could be special.
My next question is, and this is for the whole entire NFL, that's not just a Jets question, who's going to be the sleeper team this year?
The sleeper team this year. Give me a second.
Okay.
I would say keep an eye out on Arizona, depending on what they do. If they stay, did he? Yeah. Oh, okay. That's my dude, man. Me and Wildwave agree on everything. He supports everything I do, and we're always talking on Twitter. And I didn't even see that when I said it. They were competitive down the end. They got a really good young tight end in Trey McBride. If they do keep 4 and add Harrison, that's going to be an exciting team. They have another number 1 pick, I believe. I think in the 20s, 22 or 24, I believe. You can add. They drafted Paris Johnson at right tackle. You can maybe take another lineman. I would build up that offense just because you're going against Seattle's defense. You're going against the Rams D. You're going against the 49ers in the division. You got to beat your own division before you can think about going anywhere else.
Right.
I would this year load up on offense. I would make one side of the ball really special to see what Murray could be because they got to decide if they want to stick with Murray long term or not.
Sure.
If you don't, you have a McBride. You got a Harrison Jr. You got Paris Johnson, a good right tackle. You'll have another first-round pick this year, and you'll have the ability or move back and just stockpile picks and spread it out all over the place and raise the whole water level of the entire locker room. Another team that I would look at, I'll give you an AFC team.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be – I think the 3 teams in the West after the Chiefs will fall. I don't think the Jets would be a surprise team. I don't think the Bengals coming back healthy would be a surprise, but they would be a team I think could compete. And then the other division, I'll give you a surprise. I think the Chiefs fall off. That's my surprise. I think the Chiefs.
I mean, that's
they'll win the division.
Let's go on to our next question. So
the Chiefs will win the division, but I think that maybe they won't, because with what the Bengals got better, the Ravens got better, the Jets got better.
But I'll say, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I wouldn't call that a fall off, because, you know, a fall off to me for the Chiefs would be like they don't go to the playoffs, or, you know what I'm saying?
Because you're not going elimination for them from where they've been. If they get knocked off wild card weekend, if they don't have the number 1 seed and they get knocked off wild card weekend at home, like say by a Houston, or a wild card team, like say Cincinnati ends up being a wild card and they go into Kansas City, I think that would be a fall off for Kansas City to not make it out of wild card weekend, since they've been in the Super Bowl the last several years, or 4 of the last 5 of the last 6, whatever it's been.
Right.
I just think that the AFC is so good. I don't see the Patriots coming up. You know, the Jets, I don't think you'd call them a surprise. Bills and Dolphins made the playoffs last year. All right, here my surprise would be Buffalo don't make the playoffs after being there every year.
Okay.
I think they don't even make the playoffs. I think the negative surprises will be in the AFC, but
so who takes a step back? What team?
Chiefs and Bills. Well, Jets are going to the Super Bowl, so everyone.
So everybody.
Oh, Pittsburgh. I think Russ is the suicide bomber to kill the Mike Tomlin streak. Russ is coming in there like Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and he's ending the streak.
No, I think a little different though, man. I think that Russ might be on one team that can actually build around him and play to his strengths.
Russ, it wants to be Russ. That's the problem.
I understand. Hey, man, he shaved his head, bro.
He
cut the Jerry juice and got a bald head, like Hugh said.
I don't see it. I don't think he fits the fan base, the locker room, the coach. Steeler Nation, let's ride. They're gonna fucking hate him there. The fans will be booing him. They'll be calling for Justin Fields. Like, I just don't think he's a good fit. It's like putting me as a coach of a WNBA team. Like, the components don't work out. You know, I don't want to be there. You know, I don't want to do it that way. Like, I just don't think it works. I think Pittsburgh has their first losing season in the Tomlin regime. If Jayden Daniels goes to Washington at number 2, Washington could be a surprise team. I think Daniels might have that big of an impact that quickly. Okay. They got rid of Sam Howell. They're going with the rookie. If it's Jayden Daniels at 2, which would be, I would take Jayden Daniels 1. That's me, but we know the Bears aren't doing that, right? He had one visit. He went to Chicago. They probably told him. They had Keenan Allen at his pro day. You don't bring the wide receiver free agent that you just traded for signed to a freaking pro day with you unless you're taking that kid. So I would think Jayden Daniels is the pick for Washington at 2. And I think if he hits the league, like I think he's going to hit the league, they could be a really nice surprise team. They could like maybe sneak into a wild card.
Okay. Well, there y'all have it there. Get down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Who's going to be the surprise team? Who's going to be the team to take a step back? And do y'all agree with Nick or not?
And I honestly think our 2 teams could be the last 2 teams standing. I think.
I wouldn't be. It wouldn't be a surprise to me. You know what I'm saying? Either or, it wouldn't be a surprise.
It's wild from where we've come when we first met. Right. Like we were top 5 picks. Like we were arguing about players together. Now it would be great to see us be the last 2.
I went from when people talk about football, I had to be quiet.
I'll scoop you up in New Orleans. We'll go. Even if we're not
I went from that to like all I want to talk. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some football.
Yeah.
So you got something to say now? Because I mean, besides like we had Barry, I could just say, well, Barry's good.
Yeah.
That's all you had to say. But yeah, it come along. Even with the Jets, man. I remember watching the Jets, man. I'm gonna say this that we're gonna get out of here. I've been watching the Jets when I was a kid. I'm a root for them because they had Gastineau and Joe Flacco and Freeman McNeil. I like them, but they were just all and Wayne Quebec, they had players like that. Even when they had Umbrella Edwards, I would root for them because it's a little scrappy team, but it always would disappoint. Because when you're a Lions fan, you got to find another team because you ain't going to playoffs, or you are gonna get booted out anyway. So you'll say, you find another team. And for a minute, I rolled with the Patriots because of the Michigan connection with Tom Brady, and I just started hating them after a while. So I can understand. I can understand people rolling with the Jets, man. It's something about the Jets that on the New York teams, it's easy to go with the Giants, man. They're a flashy team. You know what I'm saying? It's like the flashy, shiny thing, but sometimes I like rooting for the underdog.
I hear.
Yeah.
If Cleveland's another one. If Watson can be 80% of what Watson was, and he can play a full season with that defense and that line,
Chubb would be back healthy.
Yeah, like that. The whole AFC. I mean, you can pick Jets, Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Houston, Chiefs.
Houston gonna be nasty, man.
I mean, that's 6 teams right there that if you said any 6 of those make the Super Bowl, I don't think anyone could argue with you. They might not agree with you, but you couldn't say that's a ridiculous, horrible take.
Right.
Like NFC, I still think it's 3. I think it's Niners, Lions, Eagles.
Yeah. I don't know, but the Eagles been disappointing the last couple of years. They had so many players on that team and have not fulfilled. Okay, they can say injuries, but all teams had injuries.
I agree.
You still had a pretty much.
Me, though, if they make it, like
right.
I'd be curious to see what injuries hit Detroit and San Francisco, but I don't think I would be shocked if Philly comes out of the NFC. Like I think it's a take that if you said Philly, all right, I might not agree with it, but I don't think it's like saying the Giants are coming out of the NFC.
Right. What about them Cowboys, man?
Not as long as Dak's the quarterback. We see it every year. Like why we talk about it? Like we see it every year. Like, and there's no point in talking the Cowboys and Super Bowl. Like you can't even you're getting worse. You have one of the most talented, if not the most talented roster in the NFL. It's your coach, which you've changed. It's your quarterback. And you can't get there. Fuck them. I hope they stick with Dak forever.
Yeah, man. I love it. Makes me better football when the Cowboys lose.
Oh, Green Bay, too. Green Bay.
I forgot Green Bay. I forgot about Green Bay.
The way he did in year 1. Or not year 1 of his career, but year.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're a young team. And those receivers are only going to get better, and they get better chemistry. That's a team that could shock people.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But anyway, y'all get down in the comments. Let us know what you think. I got to. All right. Well, I guess we out of here. Peace.